Well, literally, when people come on the show, they lose their hair. It's amazing. All right, we've moved to the couch and swept up all the hair. We're ready for the second half of the show. I'm Larry Aarons with Amber Henry.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to have you here. All right, let's talk about our next segment, which is brought to you by the good people at ABQ Free Press. You know, Albuquerque Arts and Entertainment Magazine has merged with ABQ Free Press. You get the same wonderful arts and entertainment coverage now with some good investigative journalism that the ABQ Free Press is so known for. And today, here are a couple of those hard-hitting journalists with us today from ABQ Free Press. Of course, my old friend Peter St. Cyr is with us today.
Good morning, Larry.
How are you, Peter?
I'm
good to see you again.
Yeah.
Peter and I used to work together for several years on radio. Peter was our radio producer. We keep in touch all the time.
That's right.
Good to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Efrain Villa is with us as
right.
well. You're the humor part of this.
That's what they tell me, yeah.
Yeah, is that right? Good to have you here. Amber, these
Thank
are
you. Good to be here.
talented writers here.
Yes, absolutely, and we need more of those.
Yes, we
and
do.
this is Albuquerque Free Press is a really unique and much needed and much desired new publication. Peter, how does it differ from what we're usually used to seeing in terms of publications? And
Well,
media?
I think it fills a really important news void in Albuquerque and having alternative press. And so it launched earlier this spring and is coming out every 2 weeks and already being distributed in 160 different locations. So you want to make sure and grab a paper and get used to relying on Albuquerque Free Press for your news.
So I've always liked about Peter, he always asks the next question, which so many journalists don't do anymore, right? And I'm really grateful that you're working with these guys because you have a wonderful reputation of being that guy that takes it a step further and finds out more than just the surface of the story.
Yeah, and for the upcoming issue, we are asking some tough questions from private water users. You know, in a conservation environment, and in a drought environment especially, it's really important to be conserving water. And we found 10 homeowners that are using about 9 times more than the average water customer. And so we went to try and find out some answers and about, you know, if water conservation is supposed to be as easy as 1, 2, 3, how come these folks are topping the list of private water users?
Very good.
And why aren't, and I know when we run our water usage, we always get dinged. Are they not getting dinged by the city?
Well, you know, we don't want to give away too much. We
Yeah.
want to come and have people read the newspaper, but it was surprising in my interactions with some of the homeowners that, you know, they're paying anywhere from $7,500 up, $7,500 a year and more, and just weren't even aware that they were some of the top water users. And so, you know, it's not a crime to use water and to spend your money the way that you want, but I think what was remarkable is how few knew how much they were spending on water.
They just...
And it could be just an issue of a broken pipe under their house. I mean, you could uncover something that's going on that's a lot more sinister that you weren't expecting.
Well, but in this case, we absolutely asked the Water Authority to give us the top 10 who had never reported a leak. There's some controversy about whether one on the list had an issue like that, and their story goes on to develop their interaction and frustration with the Water Authority as well.
Can't wait to read it. So
Yeah.
where do you get your leads?
So, you know, as a journalist, we rely on sources. We ask hard questions, like Larry said. And, you know, it was interesting. The Albuquerque Bernalillo County Water Authority has this big conservation effort. They even provide people with smart water techs to come out and look at their home. So we wanted to see if people were still using a lot of water. And it turns out, and this has been already widely reported, but it kind of prompted our investigation. The authority has already reached its conservation goals for the next decade. And so, as it turns out, they still have a lot of bills to pay. And as people started, the average user started paying less for their water because they were consuming less. Now there's going to be a $3 surcharge or extra fee added to your water bill to make up for any of the lost revenue that they've been having.
It really doesn't. Efrain, let's talk to you for a sec.
Sure.
You're the funniest guy at ABQ Free Press, right?
At least on that page, yes. Oh, actually, there are other funny guys on that page too. Yeah, so they cover a lot of the important news, as we've heard here. A lot of the controversial stuff gets covered in this newspaper, and news that gets neglected. So my gig is kind of just to provide some humor to kind of balance it out, so that you don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah, good thing you're doing that. What do you write about?
Whatever comes to mind. All of us have these life experiences that can be so incredibly absurd. And so that's kind of what I hone in on, recognizing those absurd situations in life and then kind of trying to just tease them out and make a story out of it.
You're a great writer, by the way.
Thank you.
I love your writing style so much. When did all that come about, and how did you become a writer?
Well, it's actually still really weird to hear that term writer be associated with me. Like I always tell people, you can put a Band-Aid on a dog. That doesn't make you a vet. And so, I don't know. I write when I can, and I really enjoy it. And this was a great opportunity.
It's much different than doing stand-up comedy or acting, because you're writing observations, you're writing about situations. And his style is very good. You're right, Amber.
And it's very conversational. You write the way that you speak.
Right, and that's kind of the key for me. I like the format. I like the parameters of having constraints, of having word counts, because that also makes you be a better storyteller. You ramble less, and it's been an interesting experience. I really like it.
Peter, back to you for a second. Is there any shortage of stories to do? How do you find your material? Where do you go look for your next big article?
Well, so we're constantly talking to people on the telephone and mining data.
I know you're good at that.
And yeah, from morning, noon, and night, and relying on sources and we'll be working on a bunch of things this summer that you're going to be interested in knowing about.
Peter,
which is the important part, is that a lot of people count on journalists to go out and find out what they can't. They're interested, they don't have time to dig themselves, and so really all journalists are standing in for the public, and hopefully we'll be doing some stories in the public interest.
What makes a story newsworthy?
So that's probably a 4-year degree, but I think the things that are in conflict, things that impact the community, and things that are making changes, are some of the big stories. If there's, a murderer, serial killer out, and about, you want to know if they're in your neighborhood or, if they're close to your neighborhood. If the water bills are going up, you may want to know about it. Or if there's a meeting to consider water bills, you want to know about what issues that they're considering.
Seems like so many times it's such a daunting experience to get good stories on the media, because it's PR, the PR firms have a lot of money and they get paid for all their press releases, and it just felt like when I was in the news, we couldn't report everything cool. And then when I was on your website, I noticed there's actually a section that says unfairness, provable lies, and hypocrisy. You've actually devoted a little section of your website just to stories that have that.
So that is a really important mission for all the journalists who are watchdog kind of government reporters, and to have no fear, to keep going and pressing, even though the PR people are trying to tell you it's not an important issue.
Very interesting. Well, Efrain, I'm looking forward to more columns from you.
Thank you.
It's going to be fun. You're doing some acting too. Are you doing anything interesting we need to know about right now?
Not at the moment. I've done, again, you know,
Yeah.
with a bandage on the dog and the vet thing.
Sure.
I've done acting, and I've enjoyed it. Right now, I'm kind of devoted to this. I'm really looking forward to writing some more, and, you know, getting some more experiences to write about. This next column coming up is from back in the day. And I mean, like I said, we all have these situations that are so absurd. I used to sell vaginal cream for a living. You know,
Seriously.
Yeah, and this is kind of a ridiculous thing, you know, where one day you look at yourself and you think, how did I get here?
Did you know this about him, Peter?
How did I get here? And so I'm looking forward to a lot more of those experiences where I look in the mirror and think, how did this happen?
Come hang out with me for a little while. I promise you'll have plenty of material.
Every day, huh?
Yeah.
Efrain, thank you. Peter, good to see you. Thanks.
Nice to see you, man.
Peter St. Cyr and Efrain Villa with ABQ Free Press. New issue on the newsstands tomorrow. Go pick it up around town or go to freeabq.com for a list of locations to pick one up. All right, there you go. We'll be back with more in just a moment.